What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to the Fight Exchange presented to you by Prediction Strike. We're talking about UFC Vegas 70. I am with my guy, David, and we are going to break down the main card for UFC Vegas 70 from a Prediction Strike investment standpoint. We're going to look at these fighters and see who we think maybe we can make some money on, looking at the long-term game, maybe looking at some pump and dumps. We're going to get into this thing for you. David, my guy, how you doing today?
I'm good. My name's David. If you haven't met me yet, David Jackson with Prediction Strike, the first place to actually invest in athletes as if they're stocks. But
Absolutely.
good
That's
today,
what we're
and
doing here.
super excited for this weekend's card. I think it kind of flew under the radar, but there's some pretty great fights on here.
Yeah, there really are. There are some great fights on this card. I'm looking forward to it. And it's a contender series card, man. So, from our perspective, looking at the long haul on Prediction Strike, looking to invest, we can buy low on some of these fighters. This is exactly the kind of card that we want to use something like Prediction Strike for.
100%. This is what we're here for.
Absolutely. All right, man. Let's not keep the people waiting. Let's go ahead and get right into it because we've got some fun fights to talk about. The first fight starting the again main card for UFC Vegas 70 is gonna be Eric the Ghost Pepper Gonzalez sitting at a prime 31 cents of value, taking on UFC newcomer Trevor Peek. Now, Trevor Peek got some immediate interest. He jumped up from that initial 60-cent price tag to 77 cents. And Eric Gonzalez has been with UFC for a little bit. It actually seems like his share value is trending up ever so slightly. Makes me wonder if some people may think there might be a little bit of value on the underdog here this week. I don't know about you, David. I am pretty sure Eric Gonzalez is getting his walking papers on Saturday. I'm looking peak and peak only personally. I'd be investing on his side. And I do think this kid actually has a halfway decent ceiling. So 77 cents, sign me up. That's my side.
Yeah, I feel great about Trevor Peek. Pretty much a identical breakdown. Eric Gonzalez, like you said, he's been the company for a little while. Trevor Peek, though, I think he is definitely a much taller ceiling for growth. He's a super strong contender, and I'm hearing a lot of whispers through the ethos about Trevor Peek. So I think he's a great investment. 77 cents, still a good price. That price is trending upwards for no reason. I mean, this guy is looking really good. Super scrappy, all like very well rounded.
Absolutely. And the big thing I think we want to mention about with Prediction Strike, folks, if you don't know the ins and outs of how the system works, they get bonuses for finishes. And Trevor Peek is an absolute killer. This kid is a murderer. He's got that farm strength, and he just likes to go out there and bang. So you can fully expect him to get finishes and get that price increased a whole lot quicker than maybe some of these other prospects would. 77 cents is a great starting point. I expect that to go up in value relatively quickly. Long-term investment, Trevor Peek. If you want a short-term pump and dump, I mean, really, if you think Eric Gonzalez can knock Peek out on Saturday, go for it. I do not endorse that.
Juice not worth the squeeze on that one.
Agreed. Absolutely agreed. All right, man. Let's move this along. The next fight. This is Team Canada versus Team Canada. They're making sure they get a win here on this one, man. Mike Malott, who's sitting at $1.05, taking on Johann lioness at 73 cents. And honestly, man, it's another one very much like the last fight to me. I don't personally think very much of Johann lioness. He's got a rough gas tank. He hits hard. He's got big power. But outside of that's pretty much it. There's a certain amount of fighters in the UFC I think he'll beat just based on toughness and that, starching power that he's got in his hands. But it's these slicker fighters, the savvier guys like a Mike Malott, who I think will be able to take advantage of him. Mike Malott is definitely somebody who I would be thinking more long-term for. My only concern is his durability. He's already up 22%, that $1.05 price tag. It could look cheap in a year or two. I'm definitely looking at Mike Malott. What about you, man?
Yeah, I mean, I like that. Johann lioness. One thing you gotta watch out for him. He's like you said, he's a big, tough dude. He's super like just physically strong. Mike Malott, not the biggest dude for that division. He's a little kind of tall, but he's not necessarily like this crazy powerful dude. And he does have I think at least 1 or 2 knockout losses at lower weight classes, which granted, you're drained a little bit. At the end of the day, I'm investing in Mike Malott as well. And for reasons you'll hear me talk about over and over again, I'm sure at some point someone's going to tear me up in the comments for going on and on about this. But Mike Mallott's one of those guys who's like really good on the microphone. He looks the part. We've been trained to appreciate a certain aesthetic and narrative from our athletes, especially our professional athletes. This guy, he's big into these charities. He had like really an interesting story, I want to say, when he got his last finish, that he really captivated the people, if you will. And I think he's one of those guys that, a big brand like the UFC, if he can put together, 1 to 2 more wins, like, he gets the machine behind him. And, those are guys that I'm looking for, especially, in this investment game. These guys have potential to not just, double, but, triple, quadruple your money. That's what you're looking for. So that's absolutely my money. My money's investing in Mike Malott for sure.
Agreed. He's also a finisher. He's got a bunch of round 1 finishes on his record. You expect him to kind of handle people when he gets it done. So I like it, man. I'm right there with you. We're both riding on the Mikey train here this week. All right. So keeping this thing rolling, the next fight up, we were talking about one of the hottest prospects this sport has ever seen, Tatiana Suarez, $150 sitting in here. Her price has been just gradually going up. Now that her fight got announced, she came in as $1 price tag, but people are already crowning her the next champion at this weight class. There's some serious investment going on right now with Tatiana Suarez. Thinking long-term, taking on Montana De La Rosa, who has been with the company for some time. It's been a little up. It's been a little down. She's quite serviceable, man. I actually don't mind Montana De La Rosa. I think she's going to stick around for a while. But at the end of the day, this kind of feels like a fight that they are putting her on a platter for Tatiana Suarez to go ahead and get her feet wet back in mixed martial arts. I think she's going to do what she does, man. I'm full steam ahead on Miss Tatiana Suarez here. And when it comes to looking ahead to the future, I don't see why she can't challenge for a title. I don't see why she can't get up to $4 or $5. This $150 price tag could look cheap in hindsight.
Oh yeah. I'm super pumped on this fight. Tatiana, kind of one of those like y'all must have forgot moments for her. I think this is going to be the fight for her because, I did kind of forget that she was undefeated. She's this monster, just like running through people. $1.50 for someone who likely is going to be the champion of the division in not a long time from now.
1 or 2 fights away, right? She's 1 or 2 fights away from a shot.
You know what honestly, what I see, so Erin Blanchfield already above $2. Tatiana Suarez beats Montana, which I firmly believe she will. Tatiana's going to be right there in price range with Erin Blanchfield. So if you want a quick money grab, like that's easy right there. And then, but if I were you, I'd, keep that money in there because I think likely we're going to see Erin Blanchfield versus Tatiana Suarez as a number 1 contender fight for that weight class.
Ooh, okay. Nice little prediction here for the next number 1 contender shot.
Yeah. That's gonna be
throwing it out there, David. I gotta ask though, if they match that up, who are you taking? Are you on Erin Blanchfield, or you think Tatiana gets it done?
Man, recency bias. I got to go Blanchfield. I mean, the way she just handled Andrade, I was like, I was already on the train.
That was impressive.
The door. Yeah, I was like, wow.
That was very impressive. All right, that's going to be a tough one to call. I hope we get to see that fight. I really do.
Yeah. I don't think Tatiana does what she does to most people to Erin Blanchfield.
Agreed. That will be a much tougher fight, but I have yet to see somebody push Erin in like the physical strength category. I think Tatiana would test her there. I want to see it. I want to see how they match up. That'd be awesome.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right. We will get right back here to UFC Vegas 70 instead of our dream feud matchups for the people. Next up,
hey, we're just feeding them some chum, planting some seeds.
We'll circle back to it, man. It's like comedy. You got to lay the groundwork and then come back to it in a couple episodes. Augusto Sakai is $1.26 taking on Donte. who is sitting at 101. And man, I could not think
give me your
of
thoughts on this one. I'm really curious to hear what you think about this.
I could not think of a fight that I want to invest in less. Like Donte Mays burned everybody in his last fight, man. Just losing that awful decision to Hamdy, who popped for every drug under the sun afterward. It was absolutely insane how that whole thing went down. It's hard to trust him here in this spot. It's hard to think of what his ceiling might be in this spot. So him sitting at $1, I do think he could get up to $1.75 one day. I think he's going to be around for a while. It's heavyweight. He'll finish some people. I think long term, it's not going to be a championship level investment, but you could get something back for Donte Mays. Augusto Sakai, though, this is a guy that came over from the PFL. We kind of thought he was going to challenge for a title one day. He's on a 4-fight loss streak, all 4 by knockout, man. Like it's time to sell off on Augusto Sakai in all ways, shapes, and forms. Like even if you had shares on Augusto Sakai, the ship is sailed. Like the guy is done. Even if he does beat Donte Mays, we know he can't get past old and busted Alistair Overeem. He's not going to challenge for a title in the UFC. So there's no investment on Augusto Sakai for me whatsoever. You could maybe make an outside argument for Donte Mays, but not a whole lot other than that, man. I mean, am I crazy for thinking this? Do you have a different opinion? What's going on your side?
Nah, I kind of agree with you on this fight. Nothing really jumped off the page for me as far as investment opportunities go. I think Augusto Sakai has had a pretty rough go at it. And I think he's a little bit better than, what he's been showing his past few fights. I think he, even though he looks like a blob, he is surprisingly technical. Every time I watch him, I'm like, okay, this guy does do martial arts. He's not just slobber knocking out there. So his aesthetic could be a little bit confusing, if you're a fan of the sport. I think he comes back, and I do think he wins this fight, but I don't think I'll be investing.
All right, so we're a little dissension between the boys this week. I'm leaning more towards Mr. Mays. My guy David has got some Sakai love over there. I like it. We can't agree on every fight, man. It makes it way more fun when we've got different opinions here.
100%.
All right. So we're looking at the co-main event, folks. Once again, hey, this is the Fight Exchange. We are talking long-term, short-term investments on UFC fighters. Don't forget, it's not just MMA. You can get everything out there. They've got NHL, MLB, NBA. You can invest in any athlete, just like the real life stock market here with Prediction Strike. Make sure you use code FE when you deposit so they know Fight Exchange sent you over there. The co-main event, UFC Vegas 70, though, man. We have got Andre Muniz, who is just all the rage right now, taking on Brendan All-In Allen. And the prices I find very interesting here. Brendan Allen's been around for a while, still just sitting around $1.22. Andre Muniz, a guy that people, again, someone we've been talking about as a future title challenger, potentially a future title holder. He's at $1.88. And you see that massive spike and sell-off. That's intriguing to me that the investors took a look at Andre Muniz, and some of them felt like it was time to jump ship just a little bit. Man, this is a tough fight. Grappler's delight. I hope we get to see some scrambles on the ground. I'm so tempted on Brendan.
I feel like you're picking Brendan.
I'm so tempted on Brendan Allen. You got me. I'm very, very close because I don't trust Andre Muniz.
Your brain a little bit.
You're picking up on it. I like it. The gas tank of Andre Muniz, man, it bothers me. I just can't get his first fight of my head. He fought Antonio Arroyo, who, while is not super UFC caliber, he's big, he was strong, but he was able to get up. When he got taken down, he didn't immediately get controlled and tapped like the last couple of opponents have. He got back up, and you could see Muniz wearing it in the second and third round, man. He was exhausted from that. You go back just a couple fights ago, and that scramble fest that Brendan Allen had, where they went a full 15 hard minutes grappling. I can't get that out of my head. Maybe the decision was wrong. Maybe Malkoun should have gotten his hand raised at the end of that fight. But if he can scramble like that for 15 straight minutes, I'm not convinced Muniz can. And I think that opens the door for this fight to be very, very close. Either way, Muniz obviously has a near championship skill set. I think he's investable. And Brendan Allen, he's proven he's UFC caliber, and he's only 27 years old. I think he's investable. Man, like, regardless of who wins, I think you could potentially put some money on both these guys.
Oh yeah, that's a great idea, really. I think Brendan Allen is, he's one of those guys. He's got a certain like cockiness to him when he gets in the ring, and I think with Andre Muniz, he's someone and because Brendan is actually pretty good, a grappler. I think he's going to engage. He's going to play around. He's going to play the game, and I think Andre Muniz is going to walk him. He's going to show him he's on a different level. So I don't see this fight going the distance. I think they are both investable, but my money's going more towards Muniz. I just, like you said, he's like almost championship quality, and he's starting to get these fights. He's learning. I think that is the investment for sure in Andre Muniz. He's just really, really good, and I'm banking on he fixes his gas tank.
Okay. All right. So again, a little bit of dissension here. Now, not all the way. I think Muniz is definitely someone you can invest in. So I'm not going to outright disagree with you. I'm just telling the people, be careful with your parlays. Just don't be surprised. Don't be surprised if Brendan Allen messes your parlay up this weekend.
Yeah, this is a tricky one for that.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. All right, everybody. It's main event time. Next up, we are talking about Nikita Krylov, $3.28, taking on Ryan Superman Spann, who is sitting at $3.03 himself. David, I'm just going to kick it over to you, man. This is such a fun fight. What do you make of this one?
Ooh, this is a great fight. I love Ryan Spann. I like what he's kind of done with his last two fights, kind of turned things around for himself. Sorry, my dog is just pushing me. But Nikita Krylov, like, this is a guy in Nikita who has literally fought the best dudes. Like, he's been through the ringer. And something like Ryan Spann said something out of his last fight. He's like, oh, this is the first fight that I've trained hard for. Or like the first fight that I've taken training seriously. And that comment just kind of threw me off. I was like, what?
I wasn't expecting to hear that either.
No, I was like, what are you talking about? If that's true, don't admit it. But he's fighting someone in Nikita Krylov who does take training seriously and has been fighting the toughest dudes. And I think Ryan Spann's coming out with this cool little confidence he's got up these last two fights, and I think it's misguided, and he's running into a brick wall that is Nikita Krylov, and he's going to get walked, all caps, walked. Oh. And I think there's definitely some investment opportunity in Nikita Krylov, because I think with a win here, he's a win away from a cool, like, number one contender or even a title fight here pretty soon. Now, that is a bold prediction, folks. He is getting not only beaten, he's getting walked. I like it, man. I like it. The one thing that I'm certain of in this fight, the one thing I'm certain of is there's going to be violence. I'm not sure who's going to win this fight. Somebody's going to sleep. Ryan Spann, he's so hard. He hits so hard. He's so fast. He's got that quick guillotine on him. I absolutely could see him catching Nikita Krylov in something. Man, Krylov's been tapped 6 times. Like, even though he's tough, even though he's durable, even though he can wrestle, he's got a weakness on the ground. It's happened multiple times throughout his career. He could get caught on Saturday, and Spann can knock out an elephant in round 1. Like, he could catch anybody. The longer this fight gets dragged out, though, I'm with you, the more it gets into the realm of Nikita's. And I think Ryan Spann is somebody who we've seen hurt. We've seen him wobbled. Like, there's some durability concerns there. You can't train your chin, man. Like, you can do all the work in the gym you want. You can't fix that chin. So I do think that one of these guys is going to get finished, which I talked about before. Bonus points. Pick your side. Get that investment in. We're looking at potentially the next top 5 entrant here in the light heavyweight division. We're looking at a guy who's, maybe 2 fights away from a title shot. So pick your side, and I think you're totally investable on either side of it. I will tell you,
David, I'm a notorious Nikita Krylov hater. I think this guy's like
Oh
mid.
my
I
God.
think he's mid tier at like everything. So I'm not going to be surprised at all if Ryan Spann catches him on Saturday. I do think
Hey,
he's limited.
he's mid
So
tier
we'll
on
see.
everything, but he's a top tier opportunist. One of the best
I like that.
opportunists in the weight class. He
That's a
like if he
great way to put
sees,
it.
yeah, if he sees any opening, any opportunity, like he takes it. Whereas a lot of guys will pass up, they'll play a little safe. Nikita goes for it.
That is a great way to put it. He's a high class opportunist. All right. I like it, man. So
Um,
I'll concede to you.
okay,
You have
okay,
got the strong opinion of Krylov on this one. I just like violence. So I'll side
okay.
with you on this one.
Can we get an honorable mention and um, Charles Johnson? He's a early prelim guy. I think there is definitely some potential there. I think the last I looked, he was like 88 cents or 90 cents for his chair. And I just want the viewers to know Charles Johnson is a strong contender. He's got good wrestling, and he's going against someone who doesn't have great wrestling this weekend. So it's super hot prospects. Keep your eye on that guy.
Bonus pick, Charles Johnson. I like it, man. I'm with you on energy. He is only 86 cents, folks. And I'm with you. I think Ode is a perfect fight for him, frankly, man. The way Ode starts slow and has to manage his pace because he's got that bad gas tank. He's a little fragile. He's been knocked before. He struggles when fights go 15 minutes. Charles Johnson's the exact opposite. He starts a little slow and then he just kind of cranks it up as the fight goes deep. So I think that's a great pick. I expect him to get his hand raised on Saturday. And frankly, who knows what the ceiling is for Charles Johnson, because he was a champion, I believe, in the LFA before he made it over to the UFC. This kid's
Mhm.
no slouch. He's definitely got some upside. So I like that.
He-
Great call on the bonus pick
yeah,
here for the people.
I think he debuted against one of the tougher fights in the division, Makayev, and
Yep.
went 3 tough rounds and kind of survived that, which a lot of fighters don't do. So I mean, for you to debut against a guy like that, like you've got my respect.
Well, and not only, man, he didn't just survive it, but he was kind of mocking the kid a little bit because he really had nothing for him. He controlled him. He dragged him to the ground a couple times. He wrestled him, but there was no damage. There was no output. The submissions weren't close. Like it was all he could do to just hang on Charles Johnson in that spot. That was a very impressive performance. And I completely agree with you, man. I think that shows, what it takes to beat this guy. If you don't have wrestling of that caliber, you might be in trouble.
Oh yeah, and he's from St. Louis, Missouri, so I got to rep my Missouri-made hometown Warriors.
There you go. Shout them out, man. All right, folks, that is it. Crisp and clean episode of the Fight Exchange for you. Remember, check out Prediction Strike. Make sure you use promo code FE to let them know you got sent there by the Fight Exchange crew. David, my guy, the floor is yours. If there's anything that you think the people need to know, shout them out now. If you've got any bonus picks on the way out the door, throw them their way too.
I mean, I just want people to know that, like, this is the next level of getting involved in sports. This is not sports betting. This is sports investing, and there's just a lot more opportunity. And in a lot of ways, it could be a lot safer than betting. This is not an all or nothing game. This is follow if you're a fan of the sport, if you follow the sport, this is a game that you can just kind of slowly get involved with and like really learn how not only like your favorite sports works, but you can also learn how investing works. So that is where the value in this platform is. So I just really want to, send that message out there. Like, this is a really great thing.
Absolutely. Well said, my guy. Well said. All right, folks. That's going to do it for this week's Fight Exchange. Hey, you're going to get spoiled because we're going back to back. We do the bi-weekly schedule, but we hit every single pay-per-view. So next week, we will be right back talking UFC. We're going to do the Fight Exchange because we got a pay-per-view coming up next. And then we'll go ahead and get back to our bi-weekly schedule after that. Hit the like button for us if you haven't already. Subscribe. We'll be bringing this show around to you pretty regularly. And make sure you follow myself and my guy David over on socials because we're pretty fun over there too. Have a great week. Good luck with your investing, and we'll see you guys next time.